Most Sonic fans credit Yuji Wakawa for the modern Sonic design. But what if I told you that another artist played a crucial role? The truth is, without this one man, modern Sonic as we know might not exist. But despite his massive contribution, his name is never mentioned in Sonic's history. Most fans have never heard of this artist, and his influence was barely documented. He never got the credit he deserved, until now. This is Mr. Fascinating, and today, let's explore the tragic untold story of Satoshi Okano, the forgotten artist that changed Sonic's design forever. Satoshi Okano wasn't a big name at SEGA. He wasn't a legendary designer like Naoto Oshima, the man who originally created Sonic, nor was he an established Sonic team veteran. He was just a young artist, joining SEGA in 1996 with a dream: to leave his mark on Sonic. Okano's background was different from other SEGA artists. He wasn't just inspired by Japanese animation. His artistic influences came from American sci-fi, hip-hop culture, sneaker fashion, and UK industrial rock music. He wanted Sonic to look cool, not just in a corporate-mandated way, but in a way that reflected the cutting-edge trends of the late 90s. But at SEGA, new artists didn't get to design Sonic. That job belonged to the established veterans. Okano had to start small, working on game environments and side projects. He wasn't going to get the chance to make a new Sonic game, but he could at least draw Sonic. And that's exactly what happened when he was given an opportunity to create promotional artwork for an upcoming Sonic project on the SEGA Saturn, Sonic Jam. At the time, Sonic Jam was just a compilation of old Sonic games. It wasn't supposed to redefine Sonic's future. But Okano saw this as his chance to push Sonic's design into a new era. He wasn't going to just redraw classic Sonic, he was going to reinvent him. Most fans today recognize Sonic Jam as a simple collection of classic Sonic titles. But what made it special wasn't just the games, it was the art that came with it. Okano's job was to create a new, modernized take on Sonic for the promotional materials, but instead of sticking to the round, friendly look of classic Sonic, he decided to give him a bold, urban, high-energy redesign. He made Sonic taller, sleeker, and sharper, with more dramatic proportions. His spikes were wilder, his attitude more defined. He was no longer just a cartoon character, he looked like a 90s street icon, straight out of a hip-hop music video. Okano's inspirations weren't what you'd expect from a Sonic artist. His vision for Sonic's redesign was influenced by Nike basketball shoes, Adidas tracksuits, American graffiti art, and industrial rock album covers. He saw Sonic not just as a game character, but as a cultural icon, something that could stand alongside the coolest trends of the era. This new Sonic was unlike anything SEGA had done before. It wasn't just a slight refinement of classic Sonic, it was an evolution, and it caught the attention of someone important, Yuji Naka, the man who had helped bring Sonic to life in the first place. At the time, SEGA was preparing to launch their new console, the Sega Dreamcast, and with it, Sonic's first true 3D game, Sonic Adventure. But there was a problem. The classic Sonic design didn't work well in 3D. His short proportions made camera angles awkward, and his head took up too much screen space. SEGA needed to redesign Sonic from the ground up for his Dreamcast debut. And that's when Yuji Naka looked at Okano's Sonic Jam artwork and saw the future. This was the moment that changed everything. Okano's artwork didn't just impress Sega's higher-ups. It inspired the internal contest that would define Sonic's new design for the next 2 decades. Without Okano's art, Yuji Naka might never have realized the need for a modernized Sonic. And without that realization, Sonic Adventure's sleek, rebellious, and stylish nature might have never existed. But despite being the catalyst for modern Sonic's creation, Okano wouldn't get the chance to see his vision realized, because while his work sparked the idea for the redesign, another artist was about to step in and take the spotlight, and Okano would soon find himself forgotten. With the Dreamcast era fast approaching, SEGA knew Sonic needed a reinvention. His classic design worked well for 2D platforming, but in a fully 3D environment, it presented problems. Sonic was too short, and in a third-person camera view, his oversized head blocked too much of the screen. A redesign wasn't just an artistic decision, it was a necessity. Yuji Naka, inspired by the fresh, street-inspired look of Okano's Sonic Jam artwork, decided that SEGA would hold an internal competition to determine Sonic's new design. This wasn't just a casual brainstorming session. This was a high-stakes battle between some of SEGA's most talented artists, each of them vying for the opportunity to redefine Sonic for the next generation. Among the participants was Naoto Oshima, the original designer of Sonic himself. He had created the character, and if anyone had a right to decide his future, it was him. Then there was Takumi Miyake. known for his stunning illustrations in Nights into Dreams, another SEGA cult classic. Yuji Wakawa, a rising star at SEGA and the artist behind Ristar, also threw his hat into the ring. And finally, there was Satoshi Okano, the man whose Sonic Jam artwork had sparked this entire redesign process in the first place. For Okano, this was his chance to cement his place in Sonic history. He had already given Sonic a fresh look once, and now, if he won, he would become the definitive artist behind modern Sonic. Each artist presented their vision of Sonic's new design. The competition was fierce, with different styles and influences being thrown into the mix. Some leaned into the edgier, cooler image that had been brewing since Sonic Jam. Others focused on making Sonic's silhouette more streamlined for 3D movement. And then, SEGA made its decision. When the dust settled, the winner of the contest was Yuji Uekawa. His take on Sonic had the right balance of everything SEGA was looking for. It retained the spirit of the classic design while refining it for the 3D era. He made Sonic taller, sleeker, and sharper, emphasizing his speed and attitude while making sure he was visually distinct in a 3D space. Okano's vision had undoubtedly influenced the direction of the competition, but in the end, he wasn't the one who would get credit for defining Sonic's new look. Instead, Uekawa became the face of modern Sonic's design, while Okano's role in sparking this transformation faded into obscurity. For Okano, this was a heartbreaking moment. He had been the one to push Sonic's design into a new era first. His work had impressed Yuji Naka so much that it led to this entire redesign effort, and yet his name wouldn't be remembered as the man who changed Sonic. It wasn't just that Uekawa won, it's that history would forget Okano's role almost entirely. Most fans wouldn't even know his name. His Sonic Jam artwork, the very thing that had inspired SEGA to refresh Sonic's look, would become nothing more than a cool, retro piece of Sonic history, its importance lost to time. But fate wasn't quite done with him yet. After Sonic Adventure was complete, Okano assumed his time with Sonic was over. He had been overshadowed in the contest, and there was no reason for SEGA to bring him back into the fold. But then he got a call. Yuji Naka and Kazuyuki Hoshino, two of SEGA's top creative minds, had a new project in mind for him. It wasn't a chance to define Sonic's future, but it was something significant. SEGA was preparing a Japan-exclusive Sega Saturn port of Sonic 3D Blast, called Sonic 3D Flicky's Island, and they wanted Okano to create the official cover art. At first, Okano saw this as nothing more than a consolation prize, a small nod from SEGA in recognition of his talent, but not the recognition he had truly earned. But as time passed, he came to see it differently. Unlike the Sonic Jam artwork, which was promotional material, this was actual official Sonic game art. It wasn't just a forgotten contest entry, it was a real contribution to Sonic's legacy, one that fans would see every time they picked up the game. And as years went by, something unexpected happened. Fans began to take notice. The Sonic 3D Flicky's Island artwork stood out, looking different from both classic Sonic and the finalized modern Sonic. It became a unique, rare piece of Sonic history, a glimpse into a Sonic that could have been. By 2006, Satoshi Okano had officially left SEGA. While his time with the company had defined the early years of his career, it hadn't given him the legacy he had hoped for. His role in shaping Sonic's modern design remained largely unknown, overshadowed by Uekawa's success. But Okano was far from finished as an artist. He went on to establish his own creative studio, Studio Okanoshin, shifting his focus to character design, branding, and even traditional Japanese arts like kabuki and sumo-related projects. His work remained vibrant, bold, and deeply inspired by the pop culture he had loved growing up. Even though he had moved on, his connection to Sonic was never fully erased. Fans who stumbled upon his Sonic Jam artwork, or the Sonic 3D Saturn cover, recognized the unique flair in his designs. Over time, those who dug deeper into Sonic's history started to uncover Okano's contributions, but official sources and mainstream Sonic history rarely, if ever, acknowledged him. In a rare interview, Okano himself admitted that for a long time, he felt like he had lost the biggest opportunity of his life, but with time, he grew to appreciate the impact he had made. He wasn't bitter. He understood that in the industry, credit doesn't always go where it's due. Yet in his own words, even the shadow becomes sunny. His story serves as a reminder that influence isn't always recognized in the moment. Sometimes it takes years, even decades, for history to correct itself. But with Sonic fans continuing to explore every corner of the franchise, Okano's name is slowly making its way back into the conversation. In the grand scheme of Sonic's legacy, Okano's name never reached the heights of Oshima, Uekawa, or Naka. He didn't become a legendary figure in Sonic Team, but that doesn't mean his contribution was meaningless. meaningless. Without Okano's Sonic Jam artwork, the contest to redesign Sonic may have never happened. Without that contest, modern Sonic as we know him may have turned out completely different. Okano's journey isn't just about Sonic. It's about the many artists and designers in the gaming industry whose work goes unnoticed, whose influence exists in the margins of history. Okano's final message for the fans sums it up perfectly. Okano says, "Even if the spotlight doesn't shine on you, your work still matters." And remembering this, that your work will still matter at the end of the day, sometimes is all it takes to keep moving forward. Why? Click on the video appearing on screen now, before it disappears, to understand how a franchise born in Japan struggled to find success in its own homeland.